Are credit card points about to be terminated? Will we stop getting such big, juicy welcome offers? Why is Congress taking away our credit card points? Welcome back to Tito's Financial Corner, where we talk about credit cards, points and miles, as well as travel. Today, we'll be taking a look at recent news of Congress looking to pass a bill in order to drive down costs. But it could potentially harm our credit card points. What is it? Senators Dick Morgan and Roger Marshall, a Democrat and Republican, are looking to pass the Credit Card Competition Act of 2023, which will be known as CCCA. So again, what is it? The CCCA legislation would require that big banks, those with $100 million worth of assets, give merchants like stores and restaurants a choice of two different networks in order to process their credit card transactions. As it stands right now, there's really just one option. There's really just one road. And that is for Visa credit cards to utilize the Visa network and the Master credit cards to use the MasterCard network. There's really no competitor. It is whatever Visa says or whatever MasterCard says. So what is the CCCA trying to accomplish? As it stands today, there is an interchange fee that merchants have to pay in order to accept credit card transactions. The idea is that giving another network option would create competition, which would drive costs down of that said interchange fee. That in turn would trickle down to consumers like yourself and myself in the form of lower prices. So to give you a better idea, right now the interchange fee is around 2 to 3%. Let's call it 3%. Let's say that you go to your favorite grocery store, Giant, and you spend exactly $100 and you utilize one of your Visa credit cards or one of your MasterCard credit cards. Well, as soon as you make that transaction, Giant would only get $97, i.e. 97% of the total transaction, because the other 3% would be paid to Visa or MasterCard in order to accomplish that transaction. What this is saying is that we could create another network which would charge a lower fee, let's say 1.5% for that exact same transactions. So then Giant, instead of only getting $97 of my transaction, they would get $98.50, which in turn would mean more profits to them. And the idea is that those savings would trickle down into consumers, where instead of having to pay $6 for my favorite blueberry muffins, I would only have to pay $5. Again, that is the general idea. Just a quick pause and an important note to make. This proposal does not affect Discover credit cards as well as American Express credit cards. So if you have either of those, you really don't have to worry about. But what's interesting is that there's talk that either of these networks could be utilized as a potential second option for Visa or MasterCard. So that's right. If this bill passes, technically you could be using your Chase Sapphire Preferred card, but the transaction itself would be processed by Amex. Isn't that crazy? This is also a great time to remind you to hit that subscribe button as well as the like button to help out this channel. Okay, Tito, so I guess I know what you're talking about. So who's applauding this? Well, retailers and merchants are absolutely loving this, and for good reason. Just imagine, they would be the very first ones to see a savings on their end. As soon as a new network is created or a new network allowed, that means that they will probably come out with a much more competitive interchange fee. So again, if we're looking at my example of Giant, they would start seeing that 1.5% right back in their pockets right away. So it makes sense that they would be applauding this and that they would be encouraging this as well. When I say the word merchants, please don't just think about Giant, Walmart, and these other big chain stores. We're also talking about your mom and pop shops, whether that's your local pizza shop, your local grocery store, or your convenience store. They would absolutely love this because, again, they're the ones that are most hurt by this. They're a mom and pop shop. They don't make millions and millions of dollars like a Giant would, but they still have to pay that high interchange fee. So it makes complete sense that they would be up for it. Some of these local businesses are passing that fee on to their customers. I'm sure you've seen this, where you go in and you're paying for your order, and it tells you that if you use your credit card, you would get charged an additional 2 or 3%, whereas if you pay with cash, you wouldn't have to pay that fee or that additional 2 or 3%. That's why you're getting an extra fee. It's not because your merchant is trying to be mean or rude, it's just that they're passing on that fee on to their customers. Which again, Can we really blame them? Up to you. Okay, so I know who's applauding this. Who's against this? Well, quite a few people actually. With me having a past history of working at a credit union, I always take a look at the Credit Union National Association, or CUNA for short. I always look at what they're putting out, what they're saying about possible changes, and see what their take is on. CUNA's CEO is absolutely against this because he believes that large merchants like Walmart and Giant will absolutely love this and will take advantage of it because, again, they would see the benefit right away. And there's nothing in writing on this specific bill that they have to pass the savings down. So again, there's really nothing to stop them if they wanted to keep the savings to themselves. Which, I mean, come on, you guys. It's a large merchant like Walmart and Giant. Why would they ever not want to pass the savings down to us? I'm sure they would pass the savings on that very first day. I'm sure. I'm so sure. And the other point that kind of gets lost in all of this is that CUNA CEO also believes that there is threat to security when it comes to transactions. Because even though I mentioned Amex as well as Discover, there are other networks that would be considered for this. And some of those networks are out of the country. So again, there is legitimate fear of what would happen if my information gets stolen. Isn't this making it a little bit easier for that to happen? If you Google CCCA, you will get different points of views and different articles saying that yes, it would be a lot riskier, or no, it would not be a lot riskier. To a dummy like me, it really boils down to this. If I use a Visa credit card and it goes through the Visa network, that seems safe. If I use a Visa credit card and an X network processes the transaction, there just seems to be more of a possibility. Not saying that it would happen, but just a tiny bit more of a possibility that something wrong would happen. Okay, I get that, but how does this affect credit card points? Glad you asked that question. There is the issue or concern that a lot of us are really worried about. And that is if there's a large reduction of the interchange fees, then the card issuing banks would more than likely cut out credit card rewards first. Why? The interchange fee is one of different ways that the card issuing bank makes their money. They're getting a credit every time that a credit card is used. So again, it doesn't have to be a large transaction. It could be a small transaction. Whenever you use your credit card, your card issuing bank is getting 2 to 3% back, which is one of the major fuels that the card issuing bank has to provide perks and benefits on their credit cards. If this source of income is cut, then 9 out of 10 times the first thing that a card issuing bank will cut will be the rewards that they offer on their credit cards. Also, think about this. A credit card's rewards or perks are the bank's main marketing tool in order to get new clients and new customers. That's why you have Kevin Hart talking about the Chase Freedom Unlimited card, or Taylor Swift talking about the Capital One Venture X credit card. The rewards and perks are always a driving force in order to get new credit cards. If you don't believe me, just look at your favorite credit card content creator. Whenever there's a new elevated welcome offer, we're all making videos about it. Whenever there's a new perk or new multiplier available on any credit card, we're always talking about it. Why? Because it's a great hook and it will definitely get a lot of talking. And obviously for the card issuing bank, it is free marketing that they're getting on our behalf. Now, I'm not judging because it's the first thing I do as well. Whenever there's a higher or elevated welcome offer, I'm always telling you guys. I mean, I did that with the Chase Sapphire Preferred card as well as the Chase Ink Preferred card, which again, you would only have to spend $8,000 to get 100,000 ultimate reward points. And if you need a referral code, just go to the video description of this video. But again, if rewards are cut, welcome offers will be slashed to half, maybe 25% or altogether. There will be a lot less perks and benefits. Just imagine having the American Express card without the Centurion Lounge, and there would be higher annual fees. Just imagine if the Chase Sapphire Preferred card would have an annual fee of $295. Can you imagine that? All of us would almost automatically knock this credit card off our top list. So that begs the question, has this been done before? And the answer to that is actually yes, it has been. The Durbin Amendment, Durbin. Is that the same guy that's writing this new bill? What does he have against credit card points, man? Either way, the Durbin Amendment of the Dodd-Frank Act of 2010 had similar measures, but on debit cards. So what this amendment was able to do is exactly the same thing that they're trying to do now, but on debit cards. So whenever you're processing debit cards now, merchants have those two different options or those two different networks where they can process a transaction. And obviously, if you're a merchant, you're obviously going to go with the cheaper option, with the one that wouldn't cost you the same, since at the end of the day, you're just accepting the credit card. So why would you pay extra if nothing's really going to happen to you, if the transaction will still go through without a hitch? So taking a look at that amendment, let's take a look at what happened. What was the result? A study in 2014 by the Federal Reserve found that banks that had significant reductions were not able to make up for the lost income. Another study done by the University of Pennsylvania Carey Law School in 2019 found these banks made up their losses by charging higher fees for their products. The study found consumers did not see savings across the board. Now, obviously, this is just one of the many articles that was written on that specific amendment. I'm going to go ahead and copy the link to this article down in the description of this video below, so you can find all the information that I'm going over. But it seems like it was a horrible idea. The banks couldn't really make up for their income, and unfortunately, they had to pass on that fee or that charge down to the consumers in the form of lower perks, as well as charging higher fees for their accounts. I'm sure back in the day you remember where we used to have free checking account. That is almost a thing of the past unless you go to your local credit union, which is sad. But again, if that is what to come, then I'm pretty sure our credit card points will definitely take a massive hit if this proposal goes through. So, are we for it or against it? Obviously, I'm a credit card content creator. I love my credit card points. I love the fact that I can leverage them for travel transactions. For example, there's nothing more that I love than to transfer my ultimate reward points into my Hyatt account and book my hotel stays basically for free, at least in my eyes, by utilizing my points for the last year and a half. So I would say that I am completely against this just because the security aspect doesn't seem to be all set in stone, as well as this whole bill, it's still very fluid. I'm sure you remember that I mentioned that American Express as well as Discover could be two potential networks, but there's talks about other networks out of the country. There's really nothing in stone other than saying we want a different network. And to me, that still seems a little too soon. But I completely understand why merchants, including mom and pop shops, would be more than happy if they would get a second network, if they would have a second option that wouldn't charge such a high interchange fee. But that begs the question, what about you? Are you for it or against it? Let me know in the comments below. With that said, if you found any information useful during this video, please hit that subscribe button as well as the like button. Thank you, and I hope to see you in the next one. Adios.